Tyler Buchner takes to Twitter. He's got a nice little statement. There's a lot of words in it. We've been talking on the Cover 3 podcast. I haven't read all those words, but I know what's important, and it is his commitment to Alabama, where he will rejoin offensive coordinator Tommy Rees, who was there at Notre Dame. Also, if you think that his bowl game performance against Skeleton, South Carolina was sort of the high point of the Tyler Buchner experience, there's some lows in there too. Well, Tommy Rees was still the offensive coordinator for that game. So there's a lot going on right here in terms of familiarity. I guess for starters, do you think that Tyler Buchner is going to be the starting quarterback for the Texas game, week 2?
I think Steve Sarkisian hopes he is.
Yeah. What's the line on that game? Has it moved?
I'm about to bet it right now.
Is he transferring to Alabama right now if he doesn't have a pretty good idea that he's going to be the starter? Like, why is Alabama in the portal going for him?
He's got enough eligibility left that I would be willing to consider that he's looking at least a 2-year stay.
I think he's going to be your starter.
You think Buckner's starting?
Do you how long was he in the portal? How long was he in the portal? Like 20 minutes? So we talked about it yesterday. He had the red check, so he already knew where he was going. He enters the portal after spring practice ends. His former offensive coordinator, whose spring practice just ended with some pretty subpar performances from his quarterbacks. Then he's at Alabama the next day after 20 minutes. You don't think that there's a very good shot he's going there with the intention of being starter, and Tommy Rees told him, hey, I need somebody who knows this offense because the guys I have don't really know the offense. So I'm guessing Jalen Milroe will probably be hitting the portal soon, and maybe Ty Simpson sticks around as a potential backup. But I think he's going to be your starter. Yes.
I mean, Nick Saban knows this is okay. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Like Saban knows it's not the NFL draft. We can't tank for a 5-star next year. Look, there is some chance that Tyler Buchner ends up being good for Alabama.
Yeah.
Right. He did show some talent in high school. I mean, he was one of these kids that, based on his freshman season, got a high grade. His grade did dip every successive year in recruiting thereafter. He didn't play his senior year of high school due to the fact that it was the vid year. Obviously, Tommy Rees has seen a lot more reps of Tyler Buchner than any of us have. Okay. But the stuff we have seen has been poor. He was not good against Ohio State. He was really not very good against Marshall. And in the bowl game, a game that we all bet Notre Dame because of how many defensive players South Carolina had out, he still threw 2 awful pick sixes plus another pick, which I actually don't remember what that one looked like, but still. And he scored a bunch of touchdowns in that game. Does this say more about what Tommy Rees thinks of Tyler Buchner and all the private reps he's seen of him in practice and evaluating as a quarterback? Or does it say more about what Tommy Rees thinks of Jalen Milroe and Simpson there in Tuscaloosa?
I think
the latter.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Because
I think he just wants something more comfortable. He wants to add that jacket to the rotation that he knows that he can wear to work and to dinner. He needs something like I don't think he's coming in with the number one, like I am going to start to at the beginning of the season. At least that's not the Tommy Rees plan. I think he knows he just needs to bring in something else that he can trust. And I think that there's got to be a trust level with Buckner.
It's not great for Bama, that's for sure. Like the fact that they're bringing somebody in, I think tells me they're not thrilled with Milroe and Simpson. Now we've seen Milroe, who I think is capable. Like if you alter the what you want to be, like we were talking about Anthony Richardson or somebody like a running quarterback. If you want to, or go back to Jalen Hurts before they opened up the offense. I mean, he was pretty good, but they didn't stretch the field. They didn't throw it anywhere near as much as they did once Lane Kiffin came in and Tua started, and it was like off to the races. And this is a team that has won with Jake Coker and Greg McElroy. Like you don't have to have that first round talent. But I think probably the thing that was more concerning was the turnovers and the inconsistency. But I mean, that's not what you're getting with Buckner though either. Like if we were just talking about his turnover bug. So I think it's do you think, let me ask you guys this. Do you think the Florida Gators are like, man, we miss out. We could have had Buckner and had him over Graham Mertz. I don't know if they are. I know they want to add somebody, but like if it was Tyler Van Dyke or Drake May or some of the other names we've heard him go after, then I think you're like, oh, this is a clear upgrade. I think this is just another competition, and which is good. Like, you need that depth, and you guys are right. One of them might bounce, but it doesn't put you in a position of strength. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's connect.
I think Buckner. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say last week there was the Tyler Van Dyke smoke. He's going to Alabama. He stays at Miami. 3 days later, Tyler Buchner's in the portal going to Alabama. Like, I don't even think he was Tommy Rees's top choice, but I think it's been pretty obvious that based on the stuff you hear, Alabama has been looking for a quarterback in the portal. They have not been happy with what they have. This is kind of just, we need to get somebody. This is who we're comfortable with kind of situation. I feel like we're crapping all over Buckner. It's not like we're sitting here saying he sucks. It's just he's not like an elite level kind of guy that you want if you're going to try to win a national title in the SEC. Not saying you need one. We've seen Georgia do it with Stetson Bennett. But I think if you look at what Alabama has been when it's been ultra successful in recent years, when they've had top receivers, like, I don't think from what I have seen of Ty Buchner that this is a guy that you can really trust on vertical passes outside the numbers. I think it's all very limited to the middle of the field, short to intermediate stuff. Is that matched with Alabama's personnel this year? I don't know. I'm not a super Bud. You're better to answer that question than I am. So it's an interesting fit, but it's also kind of in line with what Tommy Rees was doing with Ian Book. Like, this could be Ian Bookish. It could be that kind of thing. And we saw during Ian Book's senior year at Notre Dame, the steps forward he took in that offense. So I can't rule out that it's going to work, but if I'm an Alabama fan right now and I'm getting this news on my phone or an alert, if I'm 24/7 subscriber and I get the alerts, I'm not super excited to see Ty Buchner commits to Alabama.
Well, I want to follow up on, like, we don't want to crap on Buckner. Like, Buckner would start at Auburn.
Yes.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think he would start at Auburn.
But not based on what he's shown so far.
Right, because it was Alabama, Auburn, Florida. Yes.
Would Buckner start over Mertz for
100% challenge.
Why?
I think
Mertz has been a better college quarterback to date and was also rated higher as a recruit. What have we seen as a recruit or on the field that makes us think Buckner? Just because he hasn't been as bad for as long?
I think based just looking at Billy Napier's offensive history, he likes a more mobile quarterback than Graham Mertz.
Levi Lewis. He's got more Levi Lewis to him than Graham Mertz does.
Okay, that's fair.
There's a lot of places where he would walk in and start. How many other I mentioned Auburn and Florida. How many other programs in the SEC would trade their starting quarterback situation? Obviously, a lot of those jobs not necessarily firmly announced. Would they trade for Tyler Buchner?
Missouri would take him, I think.
They got what, Jake Garcia?
No, Garcia was still hurt. It's Brady Cook still, but like they do have Garcia if he comes back healthy. South Carolina, I don't think would. Tennessee, if the hype come out of Tennessee is real, Tennessee would not.
My impression of Jordan when you said Tennessee.
Vandy, I don't think would. I think they like Swan quite a bit, but maybe they would. That's probably a toss-up.
Kentucky would not. Devin Leary over Buckner.
This is kind of the point, though. Like, we just don't know. Okay, like these COVID class kids as recruits. Now, I just put together our data for the story I'm writing, and 24/7 has been the most accurate recruiting service for the last 5 years, and the most accurate in the first round for the last 4. Shout out Rivals for having an unbelievable 2018 first round. And we're about to kill it in this draft, by the way. It's going to be a bloodbath. Next year's draft, no idea. And I bet you if you ask the guys at ESPN and Rivals, they would tell you the same thing. You got these dudes who have grades who didn't play their senior year, weren't as at many camps. We didn't play as much competitive 7-on-7 at summer, so you didn't get to see these kids against other elite kids nearly as much as we normally do. The data set is incomplete on them. And because he got hurt, Buckner's data set is also incomplete because he only played 3 games. I mean, how many passes did he throw? He threw 83 passes.
You know what I was just thinking?
I don't know.
And what made me think this is that Sark, Bailey Brad put in there. Sark did recruit Buckner when he was at Bama. How's Malik Murphy still at Texas? I mean, he balled out, and I think the upside is better than Buckner. Like, and maybe he's just committed. Maybe he's like, hey, I'm good. I'm gonna stay here, wait my turn, and I'll compete. But I'm surprised he's able to keep him there in Austin.
You think that Alabama would have been in the mix?
I would think so. I think he's better, and we've seen him. I mean, granted, it was a spring game, but he balled out. All the returns have been great. He's already beat out like Arch. He's the number 2. He's playing behind. Like, I think it's a quarterback that would be willing to leave, that would have better upside, better potential than Buckner.
And I mean, I think another way to consider too here with Malik Murphy is, why is he still there? Well, there's probably a reason he's still there. And it involves, financial reasons. And if Texas is that interested in keeping him, that also gives you an idea. When Texas has Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, but they're also very interested in keeping Malik Murphy, that gives you an idea of how talented he is too.
Yeah, that was my challenge to Texas, was pay up. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're all of a sudden limited at the quarterback position. All right, so is the expectation that Alabama is going to see either Simpson or Milroe hit the portal in the coming days? Because he only got a couple days left.
Yeah.
Milroe's third year, right? This is his third season. If he's not going to be the starter this year, you got to feel like he's going to be itching to leave at some point. I mean, if they're recruiting over me again with a transfer from a kid who we really don't know a whole hell of a lot about, because like Bud said, he didn't play his senior year of high school, and then after being the starter last year, he barely played any of last season. So in the last 3 years, he's hardly played any competitive football.
We're going to see them all. We're going to see 2
Milroe's
quarterbacks play against Middle Tennessee for sure, and probably against Texas too. I don't know if they're going to have this thing figured out.
And classic, like 2014 Saban all over again.
Yeah.
We're going to wait until the SEC opener. Just trot out a whole bunch of quarterbacks and see who can stand it with their feet to the fire. But yes, Tyler Buchner, former Notre Dame quarterback, he hit the portal. As Tom mentioned, Tom said red check. Basically, there is a do not contact lit part that you can sort of put by your name that just lets everybody else know I'm hitting the portal and I already know where I want to go. And so that's why as soon as Buckner hit the portal, the red check was there. Everybody assumed, hey, Tommy Rees is at Alabama. Alabama needs a quarterback. That's how the dots were connected. And like Tom mentioned, if they were going after Van Dyke and it didn't work, you just go down on the priority list. And this was what was up next. Will be interesting to see how much he plays a factor in that competition when Alabama opens fall camp. Yeah. Anything else on Buckner? And then we'll do just sort of final thoughts on.
Do you know what's better than 1 love letter to Notre Dame? 2 love letters to Notre Dame, because he had the first one, Dear Notre Dame, I love you. Now he's got the official announcement. So you've got 2 love letters from Tyler Buchner to all his fans and Notre Dame.
To me like he's not over his ex. I don't know.
What? So is Tyler Buchner the type that writes too much in your yearbook?
Oh, for sure. A lot of these dudes do. It's not just Buchner. A lot of them. They're a little too wordy.
This could be his agent writing it too. Like I have no idea if this kid wrote this.
Could be.
You get a couple of beers and Ty Buchner, and he'll just talk to you for hours about his feelings, and you're just like, bro, I'm just trying to watch the game, dude.
Oh man, high profile Notre Dame to Alabama. Tyler Buchner commits to the Crimson Tide. Will be that'll be one of the biggest topics of fall camp across the entire country. Is that Alabama quarterback battle on a roster that otherwise is locked and loaded at almost every other position group.